Kia ora, everybody. Welcome back to Creative Curiosity. I know it's been a minute and a half. I can't even remember the last podcast I did, and even longer than that, the last guest I had on the podcast. Special guest here today, my brother Jesse Mosen, aka Godfrey Atlantis, aka the Dog Mantis. um, I met this fella back in, I think it was 2011, maybe the end of 2011, the first time I met you. And I
Yeah,
remember it was
yeah,
at the art gallery down on, was it Ward Street? Ward
yep.
Street in Hamilton. And then we ended up tattooing together 2012 to like 2013 for a couple of years. You're the first vegan I've ever met. So I've got
Really?
some notes here. Yeah, you're the first vegan I ever met of that I knew was a vegan. I probably met some
Wow.
vegans who didn't tell me. Um,
Wow. Okay, cool.
yeah, bro. But I've got some notes here of some things that I want to cover with you because I know you're a man of many talents. I love that you love all sorts of different forms of art and creativity. You don't just dabble in one thing and you back yourself and you jump into different pies, vegan
Thanks,
pies.
man. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
I don't know if that's personally, I don't know if that's something for me to be proud of because I think it just shows I have a short attention span rather than, trying to divide myself amongst all these things. I think I just get bored easy and just want to try out new things.
Oh, bro. You and I both. You and I both. And I think, that's what got us into art in the first place, was that
Yep.
curiosity. That's the reason the podcast is called Creative Curiosity. It's about, that creative innocence and that, childlike, um, curiosity that we have. And I think that's what an artist is somebody
Yep.
who just stayed a kid, and they
Yep.
didn't let the world
100%.
turn them into an old person. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep. No. I like. There's a lyric and it's like, he's dissing someone. He's like, you didn't get mature, you got tame. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
when you become an adult, you just get tamed. So it's just like, oh, he's mild and passive and
Yeah, yeah.
doesn't get excited anymore, and and it's true though.
Yeah, bro. It
Yeah.
makes so much sense. And it's Step Brothers. Dale's not Dale. Is it Dale? Dale's old man. He tells
Yeah.
him, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a dinosaur. My dad told me, stop playing around with dinosaurs. It's time to grow up. And then he
Yeah.
told him, don't lose your dinosaur.
Yeah. Don't
The one that
don't,
says,
don't.
remain childlike. You know,
Exactly.
we're the lucky
Exactly.
ones, I say.
Oh, dude, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
bro. But we'll just tell us a little bit. I'll tell the listeners, bro, a little bit about yourself and even me. Like I haven't really talked to you about your early life. I sort of, we picked up in 2012 really, and that's
Yep.
sort of really what I knew about you. Yeah, so just a little rundown of yourself, bro, upbringing and things like that.
Yeah, I got a super awesome family. I'm super lucky and super proud of my family. Come from a big family. Like my mum has like 6, 7 brothers and sisters, and the same with my dad. I think he's one of 9, something like that. So there's always heaps of aunties and uncles, and really, really loving and happy and fun. So I've got nothing to complain about there. All good times, you know what I mean? Grew up rural. Went to a country school in Cambridge, so it was Goodwood, so it was out in the country. That was super awesome. Grew up on a little farm, heaps of animals, all these wonderful, cool things. Yeah, was never really interested in sports. I always liked cartoons and comic books and stuff like that. And even though I think my dad was just trying to get me active and trying to get me
Mm.
outside and stuff, and he helped me and signed me up for sport like Saturday sports, like New Zealand Saturday
Yeah,
sports,
the
soccer
Kiwi
and
upbringing.
rugby and tennis and swimming and literally every sport you can think of until they realized, oh no, this child of ours has literally zero interest. Yeah, but I don't know whether that was because I didn't like team-based things or anything like that, more of a like a recluse or whatever,
Mm.
individual introvert. But yeah, super awesome. Grew up in Cambridge in the Waikato and had good friends. I was always a nerd, always like not, and this is before nerds were cool, you know?
Yeah, yeah. This was when you had to deal with it all.
Yeah, when you had to, yeah, it definitely wasn't cool to be a nerd, but like I found good friends through that and stuff like that. And especially they had a really good, at my high school, they had a really good international student program. We always had international students. And yeah, like that's what introduced me to like Japanese culture and stuff like that. And plays a large piece of my my artistic endeavors at the moment, anime and manga and stuff like that. And yeah, I think it was through those international students. So me and a couple of mates would always be friends with those guys, and you know, would go away and hide in the music room and just play guitar and try and learn metal songs at the same time we're watching like anime and Evangelion and stuff, and skipping school to just go watch movies and stuff. Not to really do anything naughty, just you know, get our nerd on. But yeah, man, like, so I'm 35, so born in 1985, so I'm pretty proud to spend my youth in the 90s, man.
Yeah, bro.
Like between 5 and 15 I was a 90s kid, and that is in my blood. I love it so much. The music and the aesthetic, and the movies that came out, and the comics and all the pop culture stuff and nostalgia. And I feel like that's like my main fuel for who I am today, kind of that stuff. Yeah. And other than that, man, like I failed high school. I'm literally one of my only friends who failed high school, like properly. I didn't pass any of the years. I was the last year of like what do they call it, bursary, and so I didn't finish 5th, 6th, or 7th form, but I talked my way into each of the next years just so I could be with my friends. Yeah, I have a really uncanny ability to just convince people to let me do things and make them promises and then still fail anyway. But and then so high school didn't give me much other than good friends and maybe a hate for team sports. And then yeah, and then I don't know, like, do you want me to carry on? Is that enough for history?
No, that's a good little background, because I've got a few things here on like specific areas that I want to tap into, and you've already talked about some of them. Like, bro, what's awesome in today's day and age is that all that 90s stuff that made you is the stuff that's huge now. You know, like Pokemon cards, anime,
dude, crazy,
film, gaming. You know, all of that stuff. What was that, bro? Like when you saw the world moving that way, you know, like people still talk about esports as not being a real sport. You know, people have their opinions on that, and they say you can't make real money from gaming. You know, stop wasting your life, get a real job, or whatever that means. You know, and then you have kids like Booger, make $3 million playing Fortnite.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And when you saw the world moving that way, bro, what was your reaction to all of that? Did you see it coming from a mile away, or?
Dude, I was also personally in denial, not like saying you can't do this, you can't do that, but just going, it's unattainable for everyday folk, you know what I mean? Up until literally only like a couple of years ago, then it hit me, and I was just like, maybe I started spending a lot more time on the internet as far as like business goes and stuff like that. And you realize, oh damn, like most of our time is spent digital now, whether that's a good or a bad thing. And those are the areas that now jobs are popping up like never before, especially for creative people, you know what I mean? But yeah, like you're a kid and you're like, I wish I could play video games for a life, you know, for a lifestyle, for like my career, or you know what I mean, all this kind of stuff. And I personally have friends who are like famous Twitch streamers who are earning a living from literally playing video games.
Legit.
And it's insane, because it's not like, oh, it's so and so. It's like, no, it's this dude that I've tattooed for 5 years, and I've watched his career from a nobody into somebody. And like I said before, it's only the last couple of years where I'm like, oh shit. Sorry, I don't know if I can swear on that.
Yeah, no, bro, you swear cool. All you want. You be yourself. Talk however you talk, for real.
Okay, word. No, we'll do. Yeah, but like, I think maybe it was my transition from, obviously tattooing the last 10 years has been technically in some people's eyes it's a dream job, but me wanting more and trying to make a living out of just like illustration or digital or content creating or whatever, me seeing my potential within that clicked over and go, oh yeah, it can be done. And it's mind-blowing, man. And it's if anything, and it's a conversation I've been having with a lot of friends recently, if anything, it's such a kind of pat on the back to people like yourself, and who can show the world that you can do that. You can be these
Mm,
people. And I always said, like, I don't know, like, universal income, where the
yeah.
government pays for your food and for your rent, and basically you can not have a job.
Mm,
And I like to think about that in an optimistic way, where if that ever came in, obviously there'd be some hurdles, but I feel like we'd have so many more creatives in our society.
oh, 100%.
We'd have these people who now have time to do this or do that, or paint or sew or build boats or write poems or whatever. And I feel like, um, not that we're getting to universal income anytime soon, but the potential to have those people as having those as viable jobs, it warms my heart,
Oh,
because
100%.
these people are not only doing something that they enjoy, but they're bringing more life to the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, man, I'm overwhelmed with happiness as far as that goes. I think it's one of the biggest positive things happening in the world at the moment, in a sea of despair. Unfortunately, there's a
Yes.
lot of crazy stuff going on. But yeah, that's definitely one of the bonuses at the
Yeah,
moment.
bro. I see a silver lining of last year, the pandemic and the world practically closing down.
Yep.
The silver lining that I saw was people had to realize what was important, and this is, also in the same mind, understanding that some people had it way, way worse and way harder,
Yeah.
and my
Yeah.
heart goes out to everyone like that. And I can only speak from my own experience. Um, and, seeing how the people who were fortunate enough, to be able to put time and energy into their creative side, because everybody's creative in one form or another, even if you say you ain't, it's,
Oh, you are.
you just haven't found the outlet for your creativity yet. Like cooking's creative,
Mm,
you know,
exactly.
all of those things. And it's yeah, like you say, it's been amazing seeing that creativity come out and bringing life to the world. And when you see a kid,
Mm,
who's, because every kid doodles in one form or another,
yeah.
whether that be on the walls, on the paper. Today, and today it's on an iPad
Yeah.
or a
Yeah.
tablet or something. And they, the ones who actually don't have distractions and who aren't on YouTube or whatever, which is also another form of creativity in my mind. But
Mm.
you can just get lost for hours. Kids get lost for hours.
Dude, I see it because I'm the youngest of all my siblings, and they all have kids, and I'm seeing it all at all different stages, like 1 year olds, 2 year olds, up to like 10, 11, 12 year olds. And it's almost like they're at that stage, like you said, like, just get lost in it for hours. There's less there's less mess between their mind and their hand. You get to our age and you're
Yes.
like, oh yeah, I got to do this and I got to do that, and is this going to be successful, and is this going to be this and that? But these kids, they don't have any of that. There's no different. There's such a short area from their mind to their hand. They're
Yes,
just like,
bro.
I'm just going to draw this monster, and it's just going to come out so pure. It's not
Yep.
going to be distracted by Instagram or likes or anything
Or
like that.
comparisons, all of those things that we,
Comparisons.
we think
Yeah,
about, as adults. Bro, I love
yeah,
that. And have you heard of Robert Rodriguez, the filmmaker? He made Spy
yeah,
Kids,
yeah,
Dust Till Dawn, all of those.
yeah,
Bro,
yeah. Of course, yeah.
one of my favorite filmmakers. I just discovered him like a couple of months ago, and I've
Cool.
been going, like, diving deep into one podcast in particular of his with Tim Ferriss. And he just talks about creativity as something that everyone has, and he says in order to tap into it, you just got to get out of your own way. And he talked about and that's what you said. Getting out
Yeah,
of your own way is another way of saying get rid of that mess between your mind and your hand, or your
yeah,
mind and your feet, whatever the
yeah.
blooming part of your body you use to create your art.
Of course. Yeah, yeah,
and,
yeah.
and he said this thing, like, one way for people to get out of their own way is to study and get a degree. So they've got a piece of paper that says, oh yeah, you know I'm uh somebody's got a degree, so now I can do this thing that I've been wanting to do for 3 years or 4 years or whatever.
Mm,
It's pretty much just permission to
yeah, yeah.
get
I'm
out of
allowed
your own
to.
way. Yeah, I'm allowed to, you know what I mean? And it's exactly what you're saying, bro. I love what you said, that there's
Mm,
less mess between their hand and their mind.
Yep.
And going back a little bit more, because I want to jump into all the stuff that you love that I love as well.
Yeah,
And
sweet.
like comics, bro. Do you
Yeah.
remember the first comic that you read?
Oh, I almost do. I remember my first comic that made a huge impression on me. I don't know if this is the
Oh,
first
yeah.
comic I read, but it was I forget exactly what number it was, but it was an X-Men comic, and it was the one that it's this super special comic, and I actually own 4 different versions of it, like
What?
pure mint condition that I've never opened. It's in a pack. I've never touched it. It's
Yeah.
never going to be touched. Then I've got one from when I was a kid, and then I've got a couple that have been read, and they're in good condition,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm allowed to touch them and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But that's how much I love this comic personally. But it was an X-Men comic, and it's the night before the X-Men team take on Onslaught. So at
That's
this point, they don't know Onslaught is embodiment of Professor X
mm,
with Magneto's hate for humanity inside him, turned into this like psychic being, you know.
yeah,
But anyway, this comic in particular had a huge impact on me, especially when I was younger, because it wasn't like any other comic. It wasn't fighting. It wasn't all weapons and craziness
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
blood
yeah.
and tearing apart. It was just them eating pancakes in the middle of the night before this big, huge
The quiet
battle.
before the storm, yeah.
Yeah, it was this, and it was you can find just as much power in peace as you can in battle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's huge impact on me, and all the scenes and stuff. You're looking through the book and the big double page spreads. You can see how much power's in it from no movement at all.
Yes.
You know,
From the
and
absence of movement, yeah.
the absence of it. Yeah, and so it's like I've got super high contrast kind of panels and lots of dark in there, and Wolverine's out the back, all moody, laying around in the rain and
Being
stuff like
Wolverine,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, being Wolverine and stuff. But yeah, I was just super lucky when I was a kid that the closest shop to us, it was maybe like a half an hour walk or whatever, because we
Yeah.
lived out of town.
Yeah.
They just lucky they had comics, bro.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't know what kind of trajectory I would have been on if I didn't have that. And I went back there every week and got the new one, got the new one. All my money just went to that one. I think it was like
Yeah.
$3 comic. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because that was sort of, the just from my limited experience, and because my dad, he's the reason that I got into comics, and I didn't get heavy into comics because we lived super rural. It was like
Ah, word.
like
Yeah.
I couldn't walk to town, and
Yeah.
we didn't have anywhere that sold comics like growing up, because I'm from Whakatane,
Mm,
and we didn't have a comic book store that I knew of. And when you grew up, that was sort of the end of comic books just being in the dairy, you know what I
yeah.
mean? Because when my
Yeah.
dad grew up, they had comic books in the dairy in Waimana, which is 30 minutes drive out of Whakatane.
Oh, so that would have
That's
been like a standard
Yeah,
back in those days. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
back in
Yeah.
those days. So it's pretty cool that you caught the tail end of that. And
Yeah.
you just imagine if you grew up in a time that didn't have comics in the store like that.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Well, I would have been pretty sad. Well, I guess I wouldn't have, because I wouldn't have known about them. But
Yeah,
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 like you said, I was super lucky. I caught actually the tail end of the second wave. So your dad would have been part of the first
yeah.
wave. I don't know how old he
Oh,
is,
he
but
was he was probably middle of that second wave, I'd say,
oh, for real?
because it
Oh,
was even
sweet.
before his time. Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, like luckily they had a resurgence in the like 90s, late 80s,
mm,
early 90s. They had a resurgence and it got huge. And then yeah, like the dairy down the road had a comic book in it, and
yeah,
I just got lucky. And then yeah, then it dipped down a bit, and then the movies came out,
yeah,
last however 10-15 years, and it's huge again. Obviously,
yeah.
it's awesome. Yeah, but yeah, dude, comics, man, like it's actually quite interesting, because now we're in a digital age. Comics aren't like physical comics. You're not seeing
Mm,
as many people carrying them around and hoarding them and stuff like that. Only like true collectors and stuff.
yeah, bro.
Yeah.
And how did you have the foresight to preserve that version of that comic from when you were a kid? Did your dad tell you, or
No,
how did that work,
no,
bro?
no. I actually didn't have anyone in my family who was interested in anything pop culture related at all in any way, shape, or form.
Really? It was
Yeah,
just you
like
and your mates.
it was just me and my mates. Like luckily I had see we grew up pretty not poor, but we didn't have any spending money. Never got paid any. I never got paid. Kids get an allowance and stuff like that. I had to work. Like I got a job when I was like 11, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, like we didn't have heaps of money, but I had one of my best friends. His family was rich, so I'd spend a lot of time at his house.
He's got
and
all
he'd
the
have,
comics.
dude, he had all the comics, and he had all like the Gen 1 Transformer toys, and he had
Gen
all
1.
dude, yeah, Gen 1, like he had all like the new consoles that came out. So when like Sega and like the
Mega Drive, everything.
Mega Drive and the first PlayStation came out, that's how I had my introduction to all that stuff. I had access to
Richie
it.
Rich.
Dude, I was mates with Richie Rich. He like, because we like Cambridge, as you know, like it can be. Well, I don't know if you know Cambridge, but like it can be a little bit like bougie, like a little bit posh. There was definitely a side of Cambridge that wasn't, but
Yeah.
there was a lot of money in like horse racing and stuff like that.
Lodges right there. Yeah.
Yeah, and my mate, his dad was a vet, for a horse vet.
Oh, there you go.
So here's me like coming around and like and hand me down t-shirts and shit, like going through all his comics and stuff. But they were good people. They were good people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy, bro. And with collectibles and all those sorts of things, and like you're talking about digital age, we move into things like crypto, NFTs. You just sent me a message. What was it, yesterday?
Yesterday, yeah.
Yesterday, yeah. You sent me a message, asking about NFTs, and literally, I'd say, bro, maybe a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks max, first time I ever heard of an NFT. And it was two people I heard talking about it. Yeah, bro. Yeah. Gary V.
Yeah.
And this fella named Sam. Fortify is the rapper, but he's like an entrepreneur,
cool.
Incredibly business minded. He's Fijian, grew up in NZ, but he lives in Dubai at the moment.
Hell yeah.
I don't know him personally, but my brother and some of my mates know him personally, and he shares heaps of stuff on his stories about crypto and NFTs, and talking about just how vast the potential of NFTs are in this short amount of time, like 2 weeks.
Yep.
I'm looking at the tip of the iceberg and I'm realizing, damn, this is a gigantic iceberg.
Dude, this iceberg's going to it's going to rock the fucking world. It's going to get crazy, dude. And like I and my wife, she's used to me being super excited about things, but even she's like, oh, I see the potential in it. Like I get very optimistic about stuff like this. It's new, and I can see the potential just going through all the different kind of like elements of creativity, or even just like the internet, man. Like NFTs, and it's hard to explain to people, but I feel it's going to play a huge part in online content creative, whoever, you know what I mean, artists and stuff.
Yeah, 100%. And
Gary super excited.
Gary V said this thing about people like to deny what's actually happening. People like to romanticize the world versus the digital world, and there's comparisons, and he talks about the digital world with NFTs and all of that. He goes, the fact is, people are on their devices all the time. Whether that's a good thing or bad thing, that's up to you. If you're optimistic, you'll see it as a good thing. Pessimistic, you'll see it as a bad thing. And he says, digital world is the world. So that's that's what's happening. It's already happening. People are online all the time.
Yep. And they're spending all their money online as well.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying it's about dollar signs or anything like that, but it's about investment, whether it be through money or through time or through just being interested in someone's life, like yourself, like content creator. People tune in because they want to know what you're doing, who you're talking to, and what you have to share. And NFTs in particular are a great way to share that experience as an investment, whether it be through money or time, to your audience and to everyone else. And I'm not going to try and get like too down with the government or anything like that, but it's a good way to take a lot of energy away from the fat cat corporations,
from gatekeepers,
and give it to the people who are the ones making the content, who are the ones creating things, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's the gatekeepers, I love that term, because it is exactly what it is. Like the internet is this awesome brand new thing in retrospect to human history, but very quickly did it get, ho, 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 this is ours.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
have
yeah,
all the
yeah,
money. You
yeah,
can't get past here unless you're part of the club. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And then now it's slowly breaking down, like it's controlled by the people. It's great.
yeah, bro. And as it should be,
Oh,
and
of course.
that draws parallels to what we were talking about before. We're talking about getting rid of the mess between your mind and your hand.
Yeah.
Now it's getting rid of the mess between the creator and the consumer. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's there's those parallels there. And it's awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the people who benefit from it are the people who should benefit from it. you know?
Exactly. Like there's always been those people who make a quick buck off, oh, I'll give you an opportunity.
Yeah.
And
Oh, bro,
it's
we've
it's
heard that
gotten
all
it's
our
gotten
lives, eh?
yeah, it's gotten pretty toxic, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's oh, sorry.
No, you go. You go.
I was gonna say that's what's great about even just the internet and stuff like that. Anyone can go start a YouTube channel. Anyone can make an Instagram profile and share their stuff, and it takes a little bit of effort, but you can eventually get your stuff out there and stop
Yeah.
and get past the gatekeepers. You can just go jump the fence. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, bro.
yeah,
It's crazy, yeah, because I'm thinking about the internet and the enormous opportunities that it's presented,
mm,
and how the power has been given to everybody. Everybody has the power as long as you've got an internet connection. You know,
yep,
um,
yep,
and I think obviously it's got pros and cons to it, and I think if people can realize that all this opportunity is there for you to take and create. um it's been said a lot over the last few years. Live a life of passion, follow your passion.
yep.
Don't get a 9 to 5. All of those things. Live the life on your own terms. And it's not about going from the life you're living now straight into the life that you want to live tomorrow. You
No.
know what I mean? It's there's that time you've got to work. Some people, it literally happens overnight.
Yep.
Oh, it may look like it happens overnight. I'll say it that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
5 years, 10 years working up to that overnight success.
Yep.
But you know, it's we were talking about it yesterday, my partner and I, because one of the local mill here in Whakatane is closing down at the end of this year, I believe, maybe next year.
Oh, for real? Okay.
And it's a paper mill, and I think there are about 200 people employed there at the moment, and it's owned by a Swiss company or something like that, a company
Okay.
offshore anyway.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people who work there, that's all they know. You know what I mean? And we're talking about how hard it
True.
must be to live your life. As soon as you could start working, you work at the mill.
Yeah.
You've got your job and your security, and you have a family, bills, a mortgage, a car to pay off, all of those things. And then just all of a sudden their security is taken away from you. And like, what do you do from there? And then we were talking about if with the internet, and if like the next generation will be able to grow up understanding that you don't have to just do one thing, and
Yeah.
put all your eggs in that basket, and put especially under somebody else who's the boss of you,
Yeah.
who could just take away that security from you. But having multiple baskets, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It could be a passion here, a passion there, a passion there. So it's sort of like what's it called? Like diversifying. Like you do in
100%.
investing and all of those sorts of things.
Yeah. There's actually a book I hate talking about books that I haven't read, but it's on my list. But it's the gist of it is it's called Anti-Fragile,
Oh, I never
and
heard of it.
it's like a career business book, but it's called Anti-Fragile, and it's saying that exact thing. Like, if you want to be always safe and always successful, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
definitely get good at one thing, like be a master of one thing, but
Yeah,
make sure, especially like revenue streams, you've got a few options, because one of them, or maybe some of them, are always going to fall through. Like these poor
yeah.
people who work at the mill.
Mm,
Like, if you're saying there's 200 of them, is there 200 jobs in town ready for them to be employed by?
exactly.
There isn't, is there?
Exactly. We're
There
a
might
small
be
town. Definitely
10,
ain't.
10 jobs ready to go, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that might be pushing it. So a lot of people are going to have to go out of town. They'll be
Mm,
spending more time traveling, less time with their family. It's insane. And it's unfortunate that I can imagine a lot of those people may have not be aware of the things that you and I know about
Yeah.
how to use the internet for money,
Mm.
or to get by being creative, or this or that and stuff like that, and fully understand the huge potential you can have by spreading yourself out in a few different
Yeah,
areas. Yeah,
100%. Yeah, bro, and it's I understand why that was the way, because there
yeah,
was an age before the internet, where you, after the Industrial Revolution, where, you know, you went to school and you pretty much taught how to be a factory worker, really, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
and to have one job for the rest of your life, you work hard, buy a house, get a
yeah,
family, and that's it, that's your life. You never, people never change jobs, but now,
yeah,
nowadays we have, opportunities. There are literally more opportunities, but more there are more people creating opportunities for themselves at the same time, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And because of the internet, we don't live in just small little bubbles of society that is based off um your location, your physical location. Now we can live in bubbles of society, and multiple bubbles of society, based on your interests and your passions and all of that, because of the internet.
100%. Yep, yeah. You're based on your knowledge and, yeah, your passion and what you're interested in, and it actually doesn't take. Sometimes you don't have to spend 10 years learning about YouTube to use YouTube.
Nah, not at all.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're interested in something and you've got something to share. And actually, I'm sorry, I'm gonna, my mind keeps jumping between things, because I'm like, oh, I want to tell them about this. But yeah, like, if you have something to entertain people with, or have something to educate someone with, you have something to provide. And I feel like those people are the successful ones.
Yeah.
um and yeah, you and I were existing in a completely different world that our parents grew up in, and I love this new world. I
Yes.
think it's great. um we're all learning a lot more about ourselves and about
Mm,
each other quicker. And we definitely, you and I, and people who maybe we're friends with or in connection with, we are very lucky to live in
oh,
beautiful countries. You know
for
what I
sure.
mean? Lot of craziness going on at the moment, but I always used to feel guilty about that. But you don't get anything done feeling guilty.
Yeah.
What would be worse is feeling guilty about it and not doing anything with the privilege you have. Instead, go, hey, look, we have these beautiful places we can go visit. We can walk. I see you on your Instagram, you're walking around beautiful places, swimming in the river. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it would be worse if you didn't go do those things, if you
Yeah.
didn't use the internet to your advantage, and you
Yeah.
didn't, make the most of what you got. So yeah, we're definitely in a different world. And you brought up something. We're talking about yeah, like the worlds that our parents lived in, and talk about, people losing their jobs in those mills, and how they were kind of told how to be
Yeah.
in an employment sense. And I see it in my father. Like, he is the most down to earth, kind, gentle, ridiculously smart human being I've ever
Mm,
seen. um and he had all these kind of normal jobs, right? Like, worked at the dairy factory and stuff like that. But he's a creative guy, he's an
yeah.
artist. He can carve wood and bone and anything, and he creates these beautiful things. And never in his life, I don't think he ever thought it could be a viable option for him to make
Mm,
a living off. He's like, no, 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 I have to go get a job at a big corporation. I mean, not a big corporation, but a big company like, Frontier or
yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that, because they are stable. And then here's his son who's throwing caution to the wind and just getting stupid with a whole lot of stuff. And um, I'm super lucky that he's supportive of that. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
bro.
yeah, we're lucky, man. We're lucky.
Yeah, and I just want to talk about that. What you just said there, like about stability. A stable job,
Yeah.
and don't get me wrong. Living the life that we live. Being creatives and um, creating your own opportunities, seizing opportunities that you see, meeting other people, creating art, selling art, whatever that art looks like, whether it be tattoos or custom um, mouse pads, like what,
Yeah. Yeah.
or, whatever, it's awesome, but, it is hard work, it's
Yeah.
not as stable as, working at Frontier or whatever. But the
Yeah.
thing is, some of the pros that I see with living this life is, there's no ceiling on it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's limitless. You know, it's really up to you how far, how high you want to go. And it's a basket. You know, we're talking about not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Mm.
It's a basket that we've created and that we
Yeah.
control. You know what I mean? It's not a basket someone can just take away from us.
No, yeah, it's your basket.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And there's room for
definitely.
more baskets. You know?
Yeah, yeah. Dude, it might not even be a basket. It might be a bathtub. It might be
Yeah,
a
exactly.
trough. You know what I mean? Like it's up to your imagination. Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. Yeah.
So
And it's scary, but like you said, it's scary, but it takes a lot of work. But
yeah,
I was completely useless at every single job I had.
yeah,
I was completely useless, and I thought I was a lazy person, and I gave up trying to not be a lazy person because I was just like, I'm lazy and I'm useless at work, and
yeah,
I just accepted that. I was good at hanging out with friends. I was good at playing video games until I was that person, until I was self-employed. Then I was like, oh no, I'm not lazy. I just didn't want to give anyone else my energy but myself.
because I was doing shit I didn't care about.
Didn't doing shit I didn't care about. Yeah. So, and it's something that I want to bottle that and show people. I
You know,
want to be like, here, you have this experience, but you can't unless you work 10 years of shit jobs. You know what I mean? Or 5 years, or even 1 year of a shit job, like night shift I worked a night shift at a service station in Frankston in Hamilton.
yeah,
And bro, it was the worst. The worst. I was scared for my life. Dudes would come in and just steal shit and just glare at me and fucking threaten me and then just walk out, and I'd fall asleep, and everyone was just terrible to me. And I was earning
yeah,
like $9 an hour or something stupid
peanuts.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, so I was lazy until I was self-employed. But yeah. I don't know where that started. But
bro. I like that you talked about that because I heard one of the most amazing things I heard about actually pursuing your passion. You know, we hear it all the damn time. Pursue your passion. Pursue your passion. And I heard another point of view on it, and it was from Casey Neistat. He was talking in this video, and he was talking about the fact that a lot of people work jobs that are just average or just below
yeah.
average, and talking about them not being shit enough to make you have to leave and have to go and pursue your passion. And he was talking about his bottom of the barrel job, which was working in a kitchen, and he was cleaning like giant pots, you know, all of that.
Yeah.
And he said, like, doing that day after day, he was just like, man, this sucks. And then he said, at the bottom of that pot, he was thinking about what he would rather be doing. And because it was shit enough, it made him actually go out there and actually, you know, make something of himself, and
Yeah.
making the something of himself that he wanted to be. You know, that's not make
Yeah,
something
true.
of yourself that other people think you should be. So
No.
don't get that thing twisted. But
No.
I was like, man, that's amazing. You know, and immediately I thought about all the people that I know who want to, you know, live a life of passion, whatever that looks like for them. But they're in a job that's
Yeah.
stable,
Yeah.
it's paying the bills, and it's just kind of like, you know, it's not shit
Yeah.
enough to make them have to leave to actually go and, you know, it's not a job that's a kick up the ass to go and do what you
Yeah.
actually want to do. You know what I mean?
It's just comfortable enough to keep you from wanting a little bit more, you know?
Yes, bro.
And it sucks, man. Like, and it sucks because, like, again, I feel guilty talking about these things because some people out there would love a just comfortable enough job to get by. You know
Yes,
what I mean?
exactly.
They don't have that in their life and they're struggling to pay bills and stuff. But yeah, like in the context of just being comfortable with an averagely shit job, it's kind of more sad, man. You want them to have a shit job because you're just
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
come on,
yeah, yeah,
man.
yeah.
I can see the music you make, or I can see the paintings you paint, or the cars you
Yes.
build. Go do it. You know what I mean? You can,
Yeah.
because you can. Like, yeah, yeah,
And I was talking, I talk to Sunny every now and then about, you know, there's perceptions, you know, everybody has perceptions of what they think they should be doing, you know, based on what society is up to, you know, and
yeah,
one of those things is having a job, you know, as an adult.
yeah,
As an adult, you have a job, you know, you have responsibilities and all those things. And then I was talking to her about something that I heard, which was you go to the job to make the money, and then in the weekends or on your days off, you spend that money to do the things you would rather be doing. But you know, imagine a life where the thing that you're doing to make the money is something you would rather be doing with that money. You know what I mean? You know,
it's so backwards, you know.
exactly,
Like,
bro.
yeah.
It's an actual world that we live in right now. You know, we can have our cake and eat it too. You know,
Yeah.
proverbial cake.
Yep.
And you know, so we'll talk about like that transition thing. Like, so you're into tattooing.
Mm.
And if you can just touch on a little bit, bro, just how you got into tattooing, and then that transition from tattooing into what you're doing now.
Yeah, well, when I started tattooing quite late compared to some people, or especially people now who are starting
Mm,
tattooing. Well, you started tattooing when you were young.
yeah.
I was always super impressed by that. A little bit jealous, but mainly impressed. But yeah, I started getting tattooed when I was like 21, and I went crazy quick. Like I used to go to a lot of hardcore shows and heavy metal shows when I was young, and all those dudes that got heaps of
Tatted up.
tattoos and stuff like that. And I was super inspired by that. So I was like, yeah, sick. Got like a little tattoo to start off with, and I got like a chest piece, and I got a half sleeve, and then I got another sleeve, and I got all my legs done, and everything got done real quick. You know what I mean? Then I was like, man, I got so many tattoos, and I was like, oh, I've always drawn. I love drawing. I wish I could be a tattooer. And I was like, no, it's so unattainable. I thought
Yeah.
it was this thing that no one can touch, like only an elite few. And then this is the first time in my life that that kind of thing switched over. And actually touching back about having a shit job,
Yeah.
I had the shittest. I was living here in Melbourne for the first time around before I was tattooing. Had a terrible job, had a terrible boss.
Mm.
Like it would be extremely draining on my mental health. Like I
Yeah, for
would be
sure, man.
down in the dumps all the time, and I would be so exhausted. I couldn't come home and paint or draw or anything
Yeah.
because I was just physically and mentally just
Yeah.
drained. Um, and then I snapped. I was just like, what the fuck am I doing with my
Yeah.
life?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this, I'm working for nothing, for an asshole, and I get no satisfaction out of my day-to-day living.
Yeah.
The only satisfaction I got was hanging out with mates or doing drawings on the weekends or whatever,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I was just like, fuck it, fuck this, quit my job. I was like, I'm going to become a tattooer. So
Yeah.
I quit my job. The money I had left over from, I had a tiny little bit of savings, and I had like I got some of my leave days paid out or
Yeah.
something. Took all that money, put it in the bank, worked out how many months I could survive just for that, for rent. No food,
Yeah.
just rent and bills, just the things that keep the house, a roof over me, and keep the fucking
Lights on.
the lights on. Lived in a big share house, terrible fucking house with leaky roof and asshole flatmates and shit. But anyway, I'm trying to do it as quick. It's a long story. But so all that money went to rent, and I was like, cool. I'm gonna make a project for myself. I'm gonna do. I think I did 500 drawings in 150 days. So I set myself a
Holy
project.
shit.
I was like, I need to get better at drawing before I become a tattooer. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And so I started this project, and I had no money for food, and I didn't want to have money for food. I wanted that money for food to go towards rent, so I could stay on this project
Yeah.
longer. So I'm friends with like a lot of hippies and weirdos and punks and shit, and so bin diving was a huge thing in Melbourne.
Yeah.
So we just go to the supermarket and we just steal food from, not steal food from the supermarket, but steal it out of the bins out the
Yeah. Yeah.
back.
Yeah. And it'll be
And even
untouched, eh?
untouched, man, like it's crazy what these people throw
Yeah.
away. And if you go to the fancy supermarkets, bro, you can get some fancy shit. Like it's nice. It's nice, and it's all free. And we
Yeah.
actually had the cops come by and stop us one time, and they were like, what are you doing? Like had a go at us, and then they just thought we were spray painting, so they
Yeah.
checked
Yeah.
our bags for cans. Then like, I don't have cans in here. You've actually got, I got foods. There's like boxes of crackers and fruit and veg and
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
this kind of cool stuff. And they're like, wow, is this good stuff? I was like, bro, I don't pay for food. Like, this is how I eat.
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, go hard. And then he like rolled. It was all good. But so I did that project, ate out of bins. All my money just went to that. A guy who was tattooing me in New Zealand when I'd come back and see my family, at that time, his name was Kieran D. Sykes.
Yes.
He he's the mantis, bro.
Yeah.
He's the fucking mantis. He's a beautiful soul. But he saw my progress as my drawing, knew that I wanted to be a tattooer, and he said, hey, if you don't find anyone in Melbourne to teach you how to tattoo, I'll teach you how to tattoo. And I took that as, I'm not going to look for, because I wasn't looking at that point. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah. Yeah.
it was day 147 or something. I was
Shit,
3 days
that's
off
almost
finishing,
there.
and he messaged me, and I was just like, bro, okay, cool, I'll see you in a week. And I got that last bit of rent money that it was going to be for rent. Told everyone that I'm out, and then I moved. He was at this point he was working in Auckland at Two Hands Tattoo, but he was up north. I forget what the town was called, but he was up north in the middle of the bush. No
Yep.
internet, no phone reception, nothing. No fucking, like, he only just had running water, no plumbing. It was all black water and grey water,
Off the grid.
off the grid, bro. And he goes, I'll teach you how to tattoo. So he taught me. We'd go to Auckland once a week and do proper, like, in the shop tattooing.
Studio tattooing, yeah.
But before that, I would work on his property with him, build his house, dig his gardens and stuff like that. And in exchange, he would teach me about the hygiene and drawing, like
Yeah.
design abilities and composition and contrast and color theory and stuff like that. Did that for 6 months to a year, and then I got a job.
What year was that?
That was 2012.
2012.
That was just before I met you. So I was floating before I got the job at Flax Roots. Before the couple of, I met you just before I got the job at Flax Roots. I
Yeah.
think it was at Ali's show that you talked about earlier, at Ward.
At that on Ward Street.
Yeah, met you quickly there. That was great. That was just before I got the job at Flax Roots, and then got the job at Flax Roots, and then I just worked hard, and I gave up sugar, I gave up all drugs, I gave up I went vegan again, gave up alcohol, caffeine. I gave up everything. I this is just how I go. Like, it's all or nothing kind of thing.
Monk status.
Maybe on the outside, on the inside, I was just some derelict, But yeah, I just wanted to give it the best red hot crack I ever could.
Yeah.
So all I did was draw and tattoo, and yeah, like that was it. Because I'm not very talented. I don't have a keen eye for many things, and it takes me a long time to learn abilities. So I knew I had to make a big sacrifice to be able to get where I wanted to. Yeah.
Bro,
that's how I got into tattooing.
I don't know all of that. And everybody listening, there you go. If you're in a situation with a shit boss and a shit job, and you know what you would rather be doing, he just gave you a blueprint of one of the many ways you can actually go about achieving that thing.
Eat out of bins. That's all you need to do to get where you want. Just eat out of the bin.
Put your eggs in a row. Find out how much money you have to live. How much time you have to work on your craft, whatever that is. And just bloody give it death. And I remember those days. Custom Collective. Anybody listening, Flax Roots Tattoo used to be called Custom Collective. And drinking your refined sugar-free vegan smoothies. And I remember too, like, when you told me about being vegan, and because I had heard of vegetarianism, which is just not eating meat. And then when I met you, that was when I learned about veganism, and I was like, what? I could not fathom being a vegan,
Like, look at you now, bro.
Look at me now, bro. It's been 5 years.
Nice.
Vegan for 5 years. And I remember, we would go to that vegan buffet on Ward Street, and I remember eating that, and I was like, oh, what?
Right.
I didn't know vegan food could be like that.
It's tasty and it's filling, and
exactly.
Dude.
Because all I thought veganism was just eating salads and shit. And I don't hate salads, but I would rather not have a salad.
They can be pretty boring if you're thinking about it in that regard. Yeah.
And those were the only examples of salads I knew. I didn't know a hearty salad. You know what I mean? And I just thought that was pretty cool. And I literally remember telling myself, I may have even told you, like, bro, I could never be vegan. Stuff that.
Yeah, I do. I actually do remember this. But you out of most people, especially in that era, that time, you took it on board. Like, not like, I'm going to be vegan, but you listened to me, and you asked curious questions instead of being like, I don't know. We had some other people around us who would just be like, oh, fuck that.
Yeah,
you're gonna be weak, or you're supposed to eat meat.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, they have that wall up before they even start questioning it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, but you were super chill about it and just like interested. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, bro. And then here we are now. And I also remember back in those days, you and Ellie, you know, being at the shop super late. And I remember, you know, you're both bike home. And I
Yeah.
remember just thinking like, shit, these dudes never leave. You know, you're there till midnight every day. You're
Yeah.
there at like 8 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
you know, and you're draw in the morning, tattoo all day,
Yeah.
draw,
Yeah.
maybe do a late night tattoo, but draw or paint. And I remember watching you fellas and being like, shit, that's amazing. You know, just how much you guys were putting into your craft and how you fellas would dedicate like that corner of the studio to just creating, you know. And sometimes you fellas would leave it set up and just tattoo and then
Yeah.
go back, jump into your painting, whatever it is. And then,
Yeah.
you know, slowly over time, the wall will start getting filled up with artwork and all that.
I definitely credit a lot of that to Ali. He gave me so many he gave me so much insight to how an artist could be, you know what I mean?
Mm,
And I was definitely like ready to make that commitment, ready to dive in and just do everything, do every hour. And I wouldn't recommend it for my whole life or anyone's whole life to live like that. It's actually quite toxic if it ends up being years and years and years
yeah.
of just one thing. But man, I look back on those days extremely fondly. Like, and yeah, Ali was a huge part in that because I had a buddy who was like, hey, I've got nothing else going on. Let's draw this. Let's be excited about doing this.
Yeah,
Let's
let's
do
make
this. And
stuff. Yeah.
bro, but get this. I don't know what was going on, but me and him had a tattoo flash day on Christmas Day. That's how much we wanted to do it.
If that isn't commitment,
On Christmas Day, bro. And it was good because it was fun and it felt special, you know what I mean? And yeah, but like yeah, those are crazy days, man. Like it gave me the fuel and the inspiration to be a tattooer, or at least be a dedicated
yeah,
tattooer.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Brandon, I want to talk about this too because I've talked about it in an old podcast, and it was just a podcast with myself, and it was
Mm.
talking about how being lazy or how being talented made me lazy. So you and I are,
Mm.
you know, you and I are in a lot of ways, you know, cut from the same cloth, but then in a lot of other ways, two sides of the same coin. You know what I mean? So you know, you're an example of, like you're saying, you know, somebody who's not naturally gifted or talented, but an extremely hard worker. You know, you grinded your way to where you got to. And then mine was the opposite. So because I was naturally talented, like anything that was creative and art, I could pretty much give it a crack, bro. Like
Yeah.
my first try at a lot of things and just be good at it. And
Yeah.
this is not be me
No,
being
it's not.
big headed or, you know,
No.
being like that or anything. That's just, you know, the actual life that
It's
I've
actually
lived,
how it
you know.
is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's because of that I knew I could count on my natural talents to get me over the line. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And you know, there are parts of me that are you know, that are yeah, I'm a perfectionist in a lot of different ways as well. But then I'm like super lazy, you know what I mean? And it's a constant battle, bro. Like let me put it
Yeah.
that way. It's like I talk about my creativity coming and going in waves, which is, you know, one part is it's true, another part of it is it's just bullshit. You know, it's just what I
Yeah.
like to tell myself to feel like, yeah, I'm all right. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just it's
Makes you feel better.
yeah, it
Yeah.
makes
Yeah.
me feel better. It's an excuse because I
Yeah.
know there've been days where I've just pushed through that you know, that dip, and then, you know, end up through discipline being able to get into that creative wave again. But yeah,
Mm.
I just wanted to address that, you know, and people out there listening, you know, I'm sure you'll all be able, if you're creative, which you are, you'll be able to
Yes.
identify with each of us as well as, you know, somewhere in between.
Yeah. No, no, it's crazy because I think about that a lot, and especially when I was younger, I was thoroughly disappointed in myself and thoroughly jealous of others who were talented
Mm.
naturally. And I thought, like when you're a kid, you think that's the only way to get good at something is to be good at it already. And that's not the case because you find and you say you're lazy. I definitely don't think you're lazy. Like you're a huge inspiration as far as like passion and creativity goes for me personally. But like I feel like I would definitely be lazy if I was good off the bat at anything.
Mm.
You know what I mean? But I'm not, man. And I can proudly say that. I actually it's a point of pride for me where I'm like, I'm shit until I'm not. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And it's great because Oh, it took me so long to learn that. I'm an adult now. I'm in my 30s, you know what I mean? Like it took so long to learn that. But it took me 10 years to become an average tattooer. You know what I mean? Like, but I feel like my mechanical skills are just average. They could be better. But I feel like through dedication and discipline and stuff like that, I feel like my ideas and my concepts maybe are they're ahead of my abilities. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
that's the driving force. That's what's keeping me from being lazy. Is going, hey, don't forget this is over here. You're like, yeah, man, I got to keep
Yes.
climbing. I got to go
Yeah.
do that thing. Yeah.
Yes. Bro, I love what you just said there, like saying that you're shit and then, grinding away. And I'd just like to like make an announcement to everybody listening. I think that's, there right in there is the beginning of everybody's triumph. And I'll try and
Mm,
say it in the right way. So admitting or accepting that you're shit at something, because this is something that I find really hard to do. Just being shit at something, you know what I mean? Because my whole life and all my experiences, it's been feeding into itself that I'm good straight away. You know what I
mm,
mean? And that unfamiliar space of sucking at something, it feels uncomfortable for me.
yeah.
And as we all know, in those areas of discomfort is where um, triumph is made. Where success is made. That's where you grow. That's where you learn all of that. But yeah, accepting that you're shit, because the good thing about accepting it is got nothing to lose, I suppose. So I
Yeah.
don't know, nothing to lose. Nobody expects more of me than being where I already am. It's
Yeah.
only upside, only benefits.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like, especially at the start of a project, or if someone who's listening is out there and they go, I would really like to be good at this. It's the
Mm,
best step to go, hey, to themselves or to their partner or to whoever they care, and be like, hey, I'm not good at this, but I want to be good at it. Because then
yes.
all those walls fall down. They've admitted this shit. People know the shit. They're not pretending to be good, and
Yep.
then now they can start learning how to be good.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean?
And
Yeah.
nobody expects them to be good. It's just like, oh yeah, you've never done that thing before.
Yeah.
Um, whatever you do, you know, it's not going to be worse than what we think it already is.
Yep.
So
Oh,
it can only be good.
I think that's the problem a lot of people have. I've seen in, say, through the clients I've tattooed and the friends I've had and stuff like that, is people are afraid of being weak and being shit at something, being untalented at a thing is a form of weakness. And no one wants to appear weak. Everyone wants to be as strong and as confident and as big as possible with
Sure.
anything. And admitting your shit and starting a project or starting to learn a skill is basically saying I'm weak at this one thing, but I'm looking forward to being stronger. And
Yeah.
just like any other element in your in everyday life, that's what makes you strong. That's what makes me go, hey, that person is so badass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
that effort.
mm,
It's that effort that somebody puts in,
yeah.
And I heard this, I was listening to this book. I just finished it, audiobook. Start with Why by Simon Sinek. I'm not too sure if you've heard of it.
Cool. I'm gonna write that down.
Bro,
Yeah.
Start with Why. Amazing book. And I started listening to it on my drives up to Auckland for work. But I just finished the other day, and he was talking about this. What was it, like a marathon or something? It was a run anyway. At this, I think it was a school,
Mm.
but there was one person that everybody got behind, and it was the person who was trying the hardest, and it was the person with cerebral palsy, bro.
No
And he finished
way.
like, I think it was 20 minutes or 30 minutes after everybody else.
Yeah.
But people saw him like falling over, picking himself
Yep.
up, and getting to
Yeah.
the end. And it goes to what we were just saying. Like people applaud effort. Secure people anyway,
Yeah.
because I
Yep.
know insecure people don't. you know?
Yep. Oh no, no, yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah,
But that's a perfect example. That kid,
yeah,
he's not running the same race that
exactly.
no, I don't want to say normal kid, but like the kid who doesn't have
Yeah,
any physical
disabilities. Yeah,
disabilities. Like he's not running the same race. That one kid, little Tommy, the normal kid, the person without disabilities, he's running a race. Maybe it's 3Ks, right?
yeah,
1K. This other kid, he's literally climbing a bloody fucking mountain.
yeah.
He's doing something that kid could maybe never do because he's never had to. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You're right. The effort. You know what I mean? Yeah, the
Yeah,
starting line is way different. The finish
oh,
line's way different. You know what I mean?
100%, bro.
Yeah, and that's that's a powerful thing. I've definitely come across that kind of concept, but I've never heard anyone put it in words like you just did. People applaud effort.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's from Simon Sinek. I was just paraphrasing it how
Yep.
it made sense to me, and yeah, exactly what you're saying, bro. And like talking about effort and sucking.
Yeah.
And starting, sucking is another way of saying starting from square one. You know what I mean? And bro, talk about
100%.
that. The decision to stop tattooing and to move into limit break customs, what you're doing now, and like when did you come up with the idea? When did you realize, yep, I'm gonna do it? And what was your form of putting your eggs in a row, or like what you did with the rent money and before tattooing?
Mm.
Yeah, what was that whole situation like for you, bro?
Well, throughout my tattoo career, I've always really been interested in making merch. Like even before I was tattooing, I was like, making t-shirts and going around and selling them to friends and the tattooers that I got tattooed by and stuff like that. I was always into that, so I love making merch. And I know the world's already full of useless crap, but
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like at least I can make some colorful stuff and bring
bro.
some joy to someone's life. You know what
And
I
the
mean?
people who buy your stuff are not people who are into fast fashion. They're not people who are into
No,
buying something to chuck away in 2 minutes. They're people
no,
who
no,
like
no,
to buy
no.
things to keep for the rest of their lives.
Yeah,
So
like
yeah,
heirlooms kind of thing. Yeah,
yeah,
but yeah. So I've always done that, and so it's always been a big part of my tattoo career. Was like, oh, I've got new stickers, or I've got a new T-shirt, or I've got new prints. Really
mm.
big thing in the Australasian kind of tattoo community is making prints.
Yeah,
It's great,
yeah,
really inspiring. But so that just got more and more and more and more, and I was like, man, I don't get me wrong, I love tattooing, and tattooing gave me literally everything artistically I could ever hope and dream for. And all my friends, and I met my wife through working at the same
yeah.
shop together, and all these beautiful things. This podcast right now, tattooing gave it to
Yeah,
me and you,
exactly. We met each other with tattooing.
So I don't want to disrespect tattooing in any way, but I can imagine you probably had similar thoughts. I don't. I feel like my artistic mind is it doesn't want to be pigeonholed by just one medium.
Yes.
Skin is a beautiful, beautiful thing because it's organic and people get to carry it around with them, but
Yeah,
it's limited as far as things go. You know what I mean? Like
yeah. To one
I want
person at a time.
one person at a time. There's only a finite amount of hours you can tattoo in a day, week, lifetime. And I just wanted to explore some more artistic avenues and at the same time, thanks, Ray. At the same time, sell merch under a brand, which is Limit Break Customs, and give myself the opportunity and time to create physical artwork and take commissions from people. And that's been throughout my whole tattoo career is selling merch. But then only a couple of years ago did I come up with Limit Break Customs, and I created a new Instagram and
Mm.
started taking it more seriously. And only and in maybe the last like 2 years, I was like, oh, one day I'll give up tattooing and I'll just be an artist. I'll do whatever art I want, like
Yeah,
I plan to do very soon. Um, and COVID hit, which is 1 year ago.
yeah,
And then we went into lockdown hard in Melbourne,
yeah. You
uh,
did.
months and months and months. And I was just like, well, this is it. This is now where I've got my hours now. Like no one's going to be emailing me going,
I
please
asked,
tattoo
and
me.
now I receive.
I've received. So I just made the most of it. So I just hauled ass, man. Like I started working on the website and doing all my bits and pieces, and new t-shirts came out and new skateboard decks, and took on all these commissions. And I was just like, fuck, I've got to pay, because I have my own tattoo shop.
Yeah,
And so I've got rent at the tattoo shop, I've got bills at the tattoo shop, I've got rent at home, and I've got bills at home. And at that point, I wasn't getting any money from the government. I couldn't, because I was a New Zealander or whatever else. So I was like, fuck, I need to make some money. So I started taking on commissions. I did 3 skateboards for one person. Then some people saw that, and then I did more and more and more. And then in that kind of period, I think I did like 60 skateboards or something like
shit.
that. Like I worked all day, all night, because I had that fear of going, I need to pay the rent.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
need to pay the rent. And then so that kind of fast tracked my leaving of tattooing, and just was like, okay, cool. Like you can prove that you've done it. You've already started all the hard work on building the brand. Don't let that motivation or momentum stop. You need to do it now. Now's when you're going to give up tattooing. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
it was big, dude. And the only other time in my life where I felt like this was when I decided to quit my normal job and become
Yeah.
a tattooer.
Yeah.
And it's almost like exactly nearly 10 years. Like,
Bro,
it's
in the same city.
in the same city. And I never thought of that. True. Dude, I'm only like seriously 10-minute drive from where I made
Really?
that
Oh
decision. Yeah.
shit.
I'm gonna have to go stand outside that house I used to
Yeah,
live in,
bro,
take a
get a
photo or
photo.
something. Yeah.
Like 660, get a photo down in front of their house down in Dunedin all the
Yeah.
time. Yeah, bro. Do
That
it.
connection, eh? But yeah, so and then it just exploded, and I had that same thought of going, oh man, tattooing is unobtainable. And then I said, fuck it, no, it's not.
Yeah.
You work hard, you can become anything you want. Worked hard, became a tattooer. And then that same thing of going, oh, being a freelance artist or a freelance brand is so hard, it's unobtainable. Then I was just like, hold on, what are you talking about? No, it's
Yeah,
not.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just work hard, bro. Like, just work hard again. And that's what I did. And man, I have all those fears about not making enough money to pay rent and
Mm.
making sure me and my family and everyone around me are looked after and stuff like that. But also, I just don't care, and I just want to make it work. I'm just gonna make it work, and it's already working. And I'm super lucky to have such an amazing community of people who are interested in what I'm doing. And that's another conversation we could go into. I want to touch base on, but instead of like, I came across this really cool
Yeah, do
concept
it, bro.
recently of and it was on a podcast with, I forget his name. I'm not very good with names, but they were talking about business. A lot of business models are searching for new clients, right?
Mm.
New customers, growing your Instagram, growing this bigger, broader audience. And then this guy was like, if you're a small business, if you're a single person business, like you're one person, that's your brand, you don't need to give a fuck about that at all. Don't worry. Look after your core community. They are the ones who are going to be always investing in you. They already have been investing in you. Give them what they want. And like, don't let them tell you what to do, but like, look after them.
Yeah.
Like, don't keep trying to get new people. Why are you trying to impress a stranger when you've already got a wonderful friend here,
Yeah.
wonderful client or customer or whoever you want to call them, who are ready to just devour whatever content you create,
Yeah.
right? And so that concept as a whole, that's kind of been a bit of a shift for me recently, and it's only paying off. Like, as you can imagine, being a content creator, like I feel like me personally in my life, you're like the people I know, you're one of the biggest content creators I know. You're not. I can't imagine you're trying to always reach new people. You are, because you want to share what you got going
Yeah.
on. But your community, I can imagine you know people by name.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? You have your even your community of other content creators, like who you can be inspired by,
Yeah.
and you can inspire and you can create together. Like, I feel like that's what it comes down to, and it's almost like a universal truth: is
Yeah.
community is where all the success happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Bro.
now everyone's on these at the moment. This is our community, digital community, whether they live in New Zealand or America or wherever the fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro, it's crazy you talk about that because I read this book called This Is Marketing by Seth Godin. Have you heard of Seth Godin?
No, I'm writing
He's
that down as well.
Seth Godin, bro. Yeah, he's a international bestseller. But there's this one book in particular that I read called This Is Marketing, and he talks
Mm,
about exactly that, bro. He says pretty much care about the people who already care about you.
yeah.
That's me paraphrasing what he said and what you've just said. And I remember before reading that book, I was there. I was just was trying to think about more followers, more
Mm,
people means more money, and more money means being able to have more resources to be creative, as
yep.
unbound.
Yep.
You know
Yep.
what I mean? And then I read that book, and then I learned that, and I was like thinking about times in my creative life where it's happened, where you've stopped caring about, or where you didn't care about what other people were doing, and you just made
Mm,
cool shit that you thought was cool, and
yep.
then people who thought it was cool as well would turn up, you
Yep.
know, literally, or over the internet, and then they'd be like, "Man, that's cool," I want to jump on board,
Yep.
and buy something off you, or commission some
Yeah.
piece from you or get a tattoo from you or whatever. And then when I read it, and he's got a cool way of writing, because he puts things in really in a really palatable way. It's easy to read, easy to comprehend.
That's good.
It's bite sized, so it's not gigantic
Yeah.
paragraphs and things like that ends up just going straight over your head. But I was reading that and I was like, damn, that makes so much sense. And there's also the other part of me that, because I live a lot of my life in the future, you know what I mean? And what I mean by that is, I don't spend enough time present, being present. And I'm always thinking about, like all the stuff that I want to do. And even when I, create stuff, I don't usually appreciate it for long before I'm like, oh yeah, what's the next thing? What's the next thing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they all thinking that way and being that way has definitely played a factor in me not appreciating the people who are already here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the things that I'm already doing, and that comes down to gratitude. Not being grateful and all of those sorts of things. And there's a good reminder that you just said there.
It's a powerful thing, because it's a concept that I never come across until I saw that podcast.
Yeah.
And it makes perfect sense for someone in my situation, because I'm not Nike or Adidas or Coca-Cola or any or like or Supreme, the brand, or anything like that. And I don't want to be anything like that, because it just seems stressful, like keep it local, keep it small, your community, like they deserve your time, not a stranger. And the thing is, you actually grow naturally, because those people they're always talking about or like they're like, hey man, like did you see this? Or they go into their house and they've got this huge commission. They're like, wow, where did you get that? This guy must be huge. And they're like, no, this dude's like still little, he's still making the stuff, you can still talk to him personally, you know what I mean? And then that grows,
Yeah, bro.
And and if people are enjoying what you're doing and you're enjoying what you're giving people or making for people, that's it. Like that's the end of the story. That's as beautiful as it gets,
Exactly, bro. What's your dream life?
My dream life.
About that.
My dream life. So I'm going to talk about it almost in a present tense.
Yep.
Or soon to be present tense. Me and Nicole. It's just us. We've got little dog, little cat. We don't have any kids or anything. We're not going to have kids, but we're moving home. We're moving back to New Zealand.
Cool.
I don't know if I've talked about that with you, but so we're going to be moving home at the end of this year. So I'm just tying up some loose ends and making sure the shop's okay and just finishing off some little tattoos here and there. And then we're moving home. In that situation, so limit break with my wonderful, awesome, supportive, beautiful, talented wife. We're going to be moving back to New Zealand, and we're going to move coastal, or go down the Thames coast, Coromandel kind of area. So it's close to my parents, close to my family. That's my dream life.
Yes.
Awesome, kind of like small little coastal property, big veggie garden, animals. I can walk to the beach. We can have a short drive to my parents' house. I can see them every single week, every day if I want. And then I can go see my sisters every week and see their kids. Like that's it. And like, as far as like making money or stuff like that goes, is just what I've been doing with Limit Break. I want to carry on making physical art for people, and I want to grow my brand and be able to make a living off those sales. Like that's basically it. I don't think for me personally there's like, oh, I wish I was a race car driver. I don't think there's a title to what I want to be. It's kind of like living like you said, like appreciating what you got. That's I want to become closer to that person. I want to become closer to the person who can go, I'm living in the present and I'm enjoying pulling this line on a paintbrush, and I'm enjoying cutting this wood, and I'm enjoying hugging my mom and dad and eating together and smelling the sea air and all that kind of hippy dippy poetry bullshit. That's the dream life, you know what I mean? Is living artistically with artistic purpose.
Artistically with artistic purpose.
don't quote me on that. Don't you dare. Like I feel like that's very badly worded. I'm not very good with words, but I think that's the dream. Is I've recently discovered well, it's not recent, but I've recently discovered I can apply it to any element of my life.
Yeah.
But I discovered through tattooing and through being an artist that I can teach myself anything I want. I just go on the internet and I can teach myself. As long as you have the drive and the dedication and the discipline,
Yeah.
you can get good at it, and you can become, like, at the moment I'm learning video editing, and
Yep.
I know that's a whole kettle of fish.
Oh,
Like
100%.
it's a huge thing, and and I feel like once you get that knowledge that you can teach yourself anything, or at least find someone or something that can teach yourself that, that's how I feel personally I've started enjoying my life.
Bro,
And that
that's
can
amazing.
be applied to anything, man. Like I was overweight my whole life, and only recently, as I was like, oh, why don't you use your dedication towards art, towards fitness and nutrition? And then, like, since last year, I've like lost 20 kilos, nearly like 18 kilos actually. I can
Holy
run,
shit.
I can run as far as I want. Like, I ran
Yeah, yeah,
10Ks the other day, you
yeah.
know what I mean? My nutrition, like, I'm getting nerdy about macros and stuff like that. And it's not because I'm like a fitness freak.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
just because I was like, oh, you can apply the skill of learning to any element in your life.
Bro, that's
Yeah.
that's that's amazing.
Can I just say though, quickly,
Yeah, of
the
course.
start of that nutrition fitness journey, and all those things that help towards it, like mindfulness and cold showers and Wim Hof breathing and stuff
Mm,
like that, I found out a lot of it through you.
really?
I was watching you doing your F41, is it?
F45.
F45, and you going doing the cold dips in the
Mm,
river and stuff like that. That was part of the catalyst that gave me the abilities to do it for myself.
it's
I was
crazy.
watching you because I feel like on the internet, especially, like I chat to you now and again, and maybe I'll comment on a post,
Mm,
but I
mm,
feel like I'm more of a lurker. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like but I'm watching. I've been
Yeah, yeah,
watching
yeah,
everything
yeah.
you've
You're
done,
there. Yeah.
and you were always that step ahead, and I was like, this guy's onto something. Like it's the genuineness of you improving your life, and then I just found out all about it for myself through you, through the internet and stuff like that, and yeah, now it feels like, and it seems like such a stupid thing to say, but it feels like a lot of the hard things are now easy.
No, bro, that's makes total sense. You
Like
know?
the hard things, like there's always a way out. There's always a ticket. You know what I mean? There's always a way to improve, or
Mm,
like I've struggled a lot with mental health, and I've improved a lot of my mental health stuff through nutrition, fitness, positive thinking, mindfulness, cold showers, breath work, all these kind of wonderful things, and all these things that a lot of people might turn their nose up and going, oh, it's all bullshit, it's all
yeah, yeah,
witchcraft,
yeah,
or it's
yeah,
all
yeah.
like hippie shit. You know what I mean? It's like, nah, man, like it's powerful and it's
Yeah.
super fun. Yeah.
Bro,
Yeah.
that's crazy. I'm sort of like speechless at that. And I can't take credit too. Like I can take credit for a little bit, just for the fact that I shared it, but all credit to all the people who I learned off. And one of
It,
those big people is my best mate, Rania, plant-based Māori. He's
yeah,
he's
dude.
been a person who's always been he's always had his finger on the pulse. He's always been somebody who's not been afraid to suck, like we were talking about.
Yeah,
He
nice.
not afraid to just start at square one in all of these different domains, and he's prospering from it, and it's amazing. And yeah, so uh, it's like what we were talking about before, just being curious. But
But you can take credit for it. You can,
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah,
you were you didn't let any shame get in the way of you trying new things. You know what I mean? Where a lot of people would. You were like,
yeah.
no, I'm ready to be weak. I'm ready to feel like I'm not strong, to be able to become strong. You know what I mean? You're ready
Yeah,
to sweat. You're ready to sacrifice things and wake up early, and
yeah,
like, and seeing you, someone like you, do it. You're a big, strong dude. You know what I mean? You're in touch with your culture and stuff like that. And for someone like you to do it and be proud of it, I'm sitting there going, bro, this, yeah, like you made it look easy. You know what I mean? You made like that first decision to be like, okay, cool, I'm ready to be weak again in a
mm,
field that I have literally no experience in, like fitness, man. I've never done anything ever in my life ever before.
yeah.
I hated all sports and shit like that. And then someone like you comes along, and I'm like, man, this fucking creative dude is going hard. with this other stuff in his life, it must be improving every element of his life.
Yeah,
And
for sure, bro.
I was like, fuck it, I got to do it. Like, I got to get in. Yeah.
Bro, that's amazing, brother. And thank you for your kind words. And
All good.
I just wanted to touch on like what we were talking about before, you know, your dream life.
Mm.
And I only asked that because it sounded to me like you were pretty close, and I wasn't far off. You know, I
No,
wasn't
you're
far
not.
off. Yeah,
The only difference is physical location. I need to
yeah,
be next to my family. I've been away from them for 10 years and or longer, bro, actually 12, 13
yeah,
years. And it breaks my heart. Like, I'm the youngest of my siblings, and my dad is the strongest, fittest person I've ever met in my life, but he's like coming on 71. He's still stronger than me. He's still fitter
still
than me.
pumping.
He's going to be around forever. But you know how your parents get older. I'm just like, man, I got to see them.
Yeah,
These people mean more to me than all the new strangers who may be friends in my future. I gotta hang out with them. That they've still
yeah,
got stories to share and stuff like that. And that's part of my dream life is being surrounded by family and just being back home, man. Like, I feel it in my bones.
yeah,
Yeah,
bro. That's
yeah.
amazing, brother. And
Thanks, dude.
you know, for everybody listening, I just encourage you all to actually ask yourself that question. You know, ask yourself what your dream life is, because I did a podcast last year, I believe it was, maybe even the year before, where I talked about my dream life, and my dream life is living here in Whakatane. So I love
Mm,
it here, bro. Like
yeah, dude.
perfect size. I love that it can't really get bigger than it is. You know, we've got
Yep.
the coast, we've got the river, you know, we've got the bush. Not that I go up the bush much, but my nan practically lives up the bush.
Hell yeah,
You know
dude.
what I mean? And you know, all my whānau are here. My whānau are here, and because of the internet, you know, I don't have to physically be somewhere else
Yep.
to create work. And you know, it's my dream life is also being creative and having you know, the resources to be able to create whatever it is that my mind comes up with. And
Yep.
it's like it's saying it in like layman's terms. It's pretty much just having a life of creating cool shit. You know,
Yeah, dude. No,
yeah,
straight up
creating cool
cool
shit
shit.
with people that you like. You know,
Yeah.
people that you love. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
People who support you and love you
yeah, exactly, bro.
and help you. And yeah, dude, like, I can imagine it's the same for you. Like, when I was a kid, oh, I want to be a rock star. I want to
Yeah,
be
yeah, yeah.
Metallica. You know what I mean? I want to travel the world. And don't get me wrong, all that stuff's cool as hell. But when it comes down to it, I just want to be around people I love,
Yeah,
doing things I love. That's it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
bro. That's
Yeah.
exactly it.
Yeah.
And you know, if we think about that, and then we think, oh man, like there's all these people that I look up to, or these people who influence a lot, you know, influence me a lot, and they're living this life that I thought I wanted to live. But if you ask yourself that question, you know, maybe the answer to it is not what you think it is. You know, you might go, oh, far out, actually, like all that shit that
Mm.
they're doing looks cool, you know, and amazing for them. But actually, I don't even want any of that stuff.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know
And and it's awesome that you have the opportunity to tell people that, or at
yeah,
least go
yeah,
explore that idea,
yeah,
because I know it took me a long time. It took me so long, you know what I mean? And if that time can be shortened for some people, they can get on the right track or get on to their dream life not before it's too late, but before they waste a lot of years not
yeah,
doing it,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Mm.
While they still have, you know, plenty of years ahead of them. And you know, I just want to encourage anyone who's listening, like if you happen to be older than we are, you know, like Jesse, you're 35, I'm 29.
Yep. Yep.
You know what I mean? That's all good. You know,
Yeah, I'll
I
do.
always say, you know, like if even if you're 70 and you go, man, like I want to start, you know, working on moving towards the life that I want to live, at least, you know, think about it this way. Like it's better to have discovered that at 70 than at 80. And if you're 80, it's better to have discovered it at 80 than when
Yeah.
you're 90. You know what I mean? There's always a positive way to look at it. And we're just super lucky that we're still young and, you know, we get to actually do something about it and
Yep.
have
Yeah.
the majority of our life ahead of us.
Yeah. But in also, like, I feel, and you may have seen it a lot as well, but I feel like people who come to this stage, or at least realize this in their later years, because they've had so many years experience doing different things, they may pick it up a lot quicker. They may have different ideas and creative outlets that no one else can have, or young people might not have. Like, I feel like people need a little bit of fuel in the tank, you know what I mean, before they can go. Like, so you're like, for anyone listening, that experience is not gone. You're never late to the race. You know what I
Yes.
mean? It's you're going to come in with a different perspective, and you're going to achieve things in a different way because of that experience or because of that lifestyle you've had and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, even then, what we were talking about before, it's like, coming late to the race.
Mm.
It's like, what race? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, there is that right.
You're the only one in your race. So think,
You're only running against yourself. That's
yeah,
it. Yeah, yeah,
exactly. So, it's not late,
yeah.
it's on time.
It's on
And
time. There is no time. It exists in a realm with literally zero time.
exactly, bro. And I think that's amazing. And you know, a lot of the things that I like to talk about in the podcast, especially with guests, like obviously it's your background, your artistic journey, um, influences, and all those sorts of things, and the future.
Mm,
But one of the things that I wanted to do with this podcast is actually give people practical advice on how
yeah,
to start. How to go about pursuing that passionate, creative life that you
yep.
want to live. So, bro, if you could give us, myself included, as well as the listeners, 3 practical tips on how to live a better creative life.
Um, damn man, 3. You're greedy, bro. You're asking for too much. Nah, nah. 3. I reckon. The first one could be just like why do you want to do it? Like what's your purpose out of it? Like, are you doing it for fame or money or for hierarchy or anything like that? Like hopefully most people asking that question are doing it because they just want to live a better life. They just want
Mm,
to live more with more purpose and more intent. You know what I
yep,
mean? I feel like being creative, especially, it doesn't have to be creative. They might want to go open up a certain business or a gym or something like that, but that's creative in its own way. But
yeah,
I feel like think about your own purpose, like why you want to do it, because that's the drive that's going to carry you through. So when you get bored or when you get tired, you think back to that and go, yeah, that's why I want to do it. The mission statement, if you will. You know what I mean?
for
So
sure.
I reckon definitely think about the mission statement. Can you ask the question again?
So 3
3
practical tips.
practical tips. Okay, practical tips. Research is great. Find other people. If
Research.
Yeah, research is a banger. I absolutely love YouTube, and
Yeah,
just like any other internet or social media platform, it can be a time waster. It can be a really bad place, or it can be a really good place. You just got to know where to look.
yeah,
Um, so if you're interested in doing something and you know someone else is doing it, go see how they're doing it. You
yeah,
don't have to copy them, but you can see where they succeed and where they fail, and you can kind of model yourself off and change certain things. And just do research about that industry, you know what I mean, or whatever else. There is every piece of information humanly possible is out there. You just got
yeah,
to know where to look for it. And YouTube's a great place. Reddit's a good place. Um, Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, they're all good, but what you're seeing the wrapping paper. You're not
yeah.
seeing the actual gift on the inside, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Um, yeah, so get good at researching. Like, oh, actually, I got a good third one. I got a good third one. Um, yeah, like fill up your knowledge, and then you'll be able to apply that to your practical kind of
Yeah,
um, sense of it. And then the third one, directly linked to the second one, is don't just do research. At some point, you're going to have to start. And I've seen, because I really want to do YouTube stuff soon, and all the like get good at YouTube
yeah.
videos. The
Shitload of them.
one shitload of them. The one piece of truth I've pulled out from it is don't delay uploading videos. Like, obviously, don't upload some piece of shit video that you can't even hear or see, but like there, you have to just start. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? You have to get through a certain amount of content before you get to your good juicy stuff. You know what I mean? um I know personally a lot of times in my life I've been interested in something and I've just delayed it and delayed it and delayed it and
yeah,
delayed it until I've either forgotten about it, or it feels so hard because it's been 2 years of me thinking about it and it's become this monster I can't control. So
yes,
just getting into it, just doing it, like, you want to be better at drawing, just start drawing and just start actively thinking creatively smart about it and go break it down into smaller elements, like drawing anatomy and color theory and stuff like that, or video stuff. See what other people use. I didn't have any clue about video. I went to my favorite YouTuber. Luckily, on his website, he's got all the gear. I went and started researching all the gear. Did like, why do people use it? Why it's good? What lens and stuff like that. And then I just went out and bought it.
Yeah.
and then I now physically have to teach myself how to use it and stuff like that. And it's funny because isn't that hypocritical of me, because I was supposed to use my new camera as a webcam today and make this look all pretty and beautiful for you, and I forgot to charge the battery, which is the most simplest element of tech, you know what I mean, charging batteries. But yeah, just getting to work. Like I'm sorry, man, I feel like I've answered these absolutely terribly.
No, bro, you did amazing job. So break them down. It was why
like why you want to do it. Yeah, like because it's maybe not the best idea if you're just doing it to be cool or to get likes on Instagram or to be famous, you know what I mean? That'll disappear. And two, what do I say? Research.
Yeah.
And I find research so much fun, man.
Yes,
I love just watching endless YouTube videos about one item or one piece of tech or how people do this or why this person's successful or cryptocurrency or whatever, NFTs and stuff like. I love it. And then three is just do it. Like get into it. Just go do. Like start small. Doesn't matter if you've got shit art supplies or really good art supplies, or if you've got a shit camera or a bad camera.
Right.
You're the thing that's good. You're the thing. You can capture some beautiful fucking work on the shittest camera phone.
Yeah.
As long as the content, as long as you are truthful and trying to do the best you can, you know?
Right, that's amazing. I'm in step 2 at the moment with what I'm doing. So I'm into learning about how to write screenplays.
Oh wow.
I wanna write my own stories as well as, you know, make movies. Bro, and it's awesome. I'm loving it. Because I signed up to masterclass last year. During lockdown, I signed up to masterclass, and then the ones I've been watching lately, one of them in particular is Aaron Sorkin, his tips on screenwriting.
Ah, nice, cool.
Brand, it's amazing. I bought the Stephen King book about writing.
Yeah.
I bought like a couple of screenplay books. I bought this other like digital book called The Anatomy of Story. All of these things I'm learning, and because I love movies, bro. Like I watch movies all the time, and when I watch movies, I usually go straight onto YouTube afterwards just to watch interviews and you know, same. You know, just to find out all of those other things that we didn't see in the frame or that we may have missed, things that happened before, after, and around. You know,
you want more of that world. You want more.
Bro.
You want it. You're just hungry. You know. Yeah.
And I'm loving being in this space. And I just created an account on what's it called? Studio Binder.
Cool.
They make like screenplay and, you know, all the software for movie making. Really, it's free software, but they have a paid version. But I watch a lot of their YouTube videos about filmmaking and all that. And bro, I started writing this script. Like I literally just wrote like one page, not even one page.
Yeah.
And just the physical act of typing down a properly formatted screenplay with a title and, you know, all of this stuff. It's shit ass, you know, it's one page. You can't really do anything in one page. But just actually doing it gave me butterflies, and I was like, damn, like this is that exciting feeling you get at the beginning of a new sort of endeavor, a new journey. And bro, I'm loving it, I'm loving it.
Dude, yeah. That's the magic hour. That's like it's all magic. But I feel like that's where a lot of the physical meets the mental part of it. It combines, and you get those butterflies and you get excited, and the adrenaline's pumping, and you feel like you're a magician. You feel like you're conjuring something, you know what I mean?
Exactly. And
dude, congrats.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. And you feel like you're doing right by yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a big thing, is doing right by yourself.
You're doing the real work, man. You're doing the real work, you know? It's and again, like, I don't want to keep fucking hyping up creative people, because like you said, everyone's creative, but like I feel like it's almost like a true purpose. It's almost like a universal truth. Is you feel good about that stuff because you're creating something to inspire or educate or entertain that's the real, you know?
Yeah, bro,
Yeah.
for sure.
Food,
And
food, food for the soul.
bro, on that note, I just want to say something that I've heard from a lot of other creators, which is one of the greatest things we can do is to inspire. And the first
Yeah.
person I heard say that was Nipsey Hussle. You know what I mean? And
Mm,
it's so true, bro. It's so true. It's an amazing feeling being inspired by other people,
yep.
and it's an even more amazing feeling to be told that you inspire other people. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's
It's the real, man.
yeah, bro.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting excited.
Same here, bro. Same here, bro. And when we were talking the other day, like in our closing notes,
Mm,
as we wrap this podcast up, but the other day
yep.
you're talking about there was something you really wanted to talk about when we were messaging. You said there was what was it? I'll go back and unless you've already talked about it.
No, I think it's I think what I want to talk about is just I guess the paradigm shift in my mindset to approaching life. You know
Mm,
what I mean? Um, like we all do, go through a lot of ups and downs, right? And a few years ago, I had a terrible, terrible, terrible year, like full mental health breakdown, like a lot of depression and anxiety and stuff like that. And I just didn't want to live, man. I didn't want to live at all. And if I could tell that guy about this guy and
yeah.
what this guy could be in the next few years or whatever, it would be like giving up the lottery or something. It's just like burning a lottery ticket, you know what I mean? It's a terrible
Yeah.
analogy because money doesn't make you happy. But if I could tell that guy, man, just hold on a little bit longer, bro. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I did, you know what I mean? Like I held on and I was like, fuck, I'm gonna make some changes and I'm gonna do this. And I opened up my own shop so I could control my environment a
Yeah.
little bit more. And through all these wonderful things, mainly creative things and fitness and breath work and nutrition and exercise and just learning and just taking risks, I found that I've dug myself out, you know what I mean? And now I'm still going to be riddled with all that stuff for the rest of my life, like we all just deal with. But I have all the tools to deal with it, and I have hope, and I have
Yes.
the light at the end of the fucking tunnel. And through just wanting to be self-employed and wanting to be creative and wanting to share it and create communities and stuff like that, it's given me so much purpose, and I'm a completely different person.
Right. That's amazing. I
That's
think
what I
that's
wanted
a
to share. Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful way to end the podcast. Is
Hell yeah.
anybody out there going through shit right now, whether you listen to this when this podcast comes out or whether you're listening to it a year from now, 2 years from now, whenever, and you've gotten all the way to this time in the podcast, however long we are in this,
Yeah.
and you hear this message, this is just another brother saying you can get through it, like
Yeah.
shit as your scenario is,
Yeah.
there is some light at the end of the tunnel.
It's all worth it, man. It's all worth it. Like, just yeah, this you can look at this world in bad ways or dark ways or good ways, and it's up to your perspective how you want to deal with it. And yeah, if I
It's
can do
amazing,
it,
brother.
anyone can do it.
That's
Woo.
amazing. I think that's that's us. We'll end the podcast there.
Dope.
Very, very last thing, bro. Where can people find you? Where can they come and support you and check you out?
Um, so my website's just limitbreakcustoms.com. Instagram's Limit Break Customs. Twitter, TikTok, everything's just Limit Break Customs.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Thanks, bro.
Massive, brother. Everybody listening, thank you for tuning in. If you made it this far, congratulations.
Yeah.
That was a big listen. We dived into a lot of topics. We both appreciate you. I know it's been a long time since the podcast has been up. But yeah, we're back. We're back.
Hell yeah, dude. You're back.
And thank you again, brother, for jumping in. It's been amazing catching up with you. It's been years. I'll upload this podcast like straight away.
Cool.
Like today.
Oh.
And then we'll catch up soon, brother.
Dude, hell yeah.
Creative Curiosity, people. My name is Haunui. This is my good friend Jesse Mosen. Appreciate you.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate you. You're the best, dude. I love it.
Awesome, brother.
Right on.
Hey.
Woo!